guys ready for Michael?
Mrs. Burns, my fifth grade teacher, was very easily exasperated by me. For example, when teaching English, she was demonstrating the difference between lie and lay. Lie is what a living thing can do. Tell the dog to lie down. But lay is what we do with something non-living. Lay the book on the counter. But Miss Burns, what about a potted plant? You have to lay it on the counter. She was so exasperated with me that she took the chalk duster and threw it up to the ceiling, and it hit the steam pipe near the ceiling, and there was a chalk dust print on that pipe for the rest of the year. But in science, she matched me. She got me. She was explaining the difference between a physical change and a chemical change. A physical change, like mixing salt and sugar, that can be undone. But when you bake a cake, it's a chemical change. Mrs. Burns, how do you unmix salt and sugar? She was up to the task. She got a microscopic projector, and she poured some salt on one side and some sugar on the other side, and we could see when projected that salt and sugar crystals look differently. So then she mixed it up, and we could see that that could be changed. If you had a microscopic projector and a toothpick and enough time, you could separate the salt and sugar. So fast forward many years, I become a psychologist and a marriage counselor. And what I've found is that most people think that their relationships are about chemical changes, but they're physical changes. And when they go through a divorce court and they find an attorney that they can pay enough money to, he doesn't even need a toothpick. He can divide your assets and make sure you get back everything that you deserve if there's any left by the time that they're finished. So people come to me and they have this mistaken idea. They come to me and they want me to be the judge. They want me to say who's right or who's sane. They don't understand my job. I'm not a judge. I help people bake. And when that chemical change happens, there's something that happens, I call it we-ness, as opposed to me-ness or you-ness. There's this thing that happens, and there's a different way of being. And when you see a couple with we-ness, a lot of times people will get really jealous. Yes, we-ness, envy, is real. So my relationship with Kelly, who's here with me tonight on date night, our relationship didn't start with chemistry. We weren't baked together. We didn't have we-ness at the beginning. Our first date, we went out and she had on this beautiful navy dress with just very tasteful, just a little bit of cleavage showing, and this crystal necklace that stood there right over, and I wasn't looking at your cleavage, but that crystal necklace, it kind of hypnotized me, so I just kind of had to look at that. But that wasn't the chemistry that we had. And that wasn't where we got baked together and became we. And it wasn't our honeymoon when we kind of spontaneously decided to get married right before the 4th of July and said, well, let's just go to Galveston and we'll go to a hotel and we went to the Hotel Galvez, and it's like, do you have a reservation? No, we thought we'd just come in. We are completely full. So we went to 3 more hotels, all of them booked. And finally somebody tells us, it's gonna be a miracle if you find a room on the beach tonight. Well, we were about to head back to Houston, and we said, let's stop at this one last place, a kind of dingy motel, but they had not only 1, but 2 rooms, which meant that our daughters could spend the night in a separate room from us on our honeymoon, so that really was quite special. But the next morning, we got up and a flyer for a church had blown up against our car tire in the night. And the flyer said, "Miracles happen." So we found that miracle, but that wasn't our weeness either. We get mad at each other still. There are times we're very frustrated, but we don't ever think about leaving the relationship. We get over it because we truly have become baked together. So thank you, Ms. Burns, for teaching me about chemical change and relationship, and thank you, Kelly, for baking with me.